To address the issues facing Tennesseans today, from 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good Sunday morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker, along with my colleague, John North. Our topic this morning, the state of the party, in particular, the state of the political parties in Knox County, the Democrats and the Republicans. Our guest this morning, GOP Chair Daniel Herrera, and the Democratic Chair, Matt Shears. Good to have both of you with us. Our panelists this morning, Billy Stair, who's a longtime Politico on the Democrat side, worked in the McWhorter administration, has lobbied ever since in the Capitol. Billy, nice to have you with us. Susan Richardson Williams, a longtime Republican, one-time GOP chair of the state. And we're glad to have the PR queen with us again this morning. All right, Daniel, let's start with you. Following a decision by state lawmakers in a special session, they allowed for communities to create partisan school board races. This week, the GOP filed action with the Election Commission to do just that and make what were traditionally nonpartisan races partisan. 3 reasons why that's a good idea from you.
Yeah, so naturally people want to know the political party of the candidate running for office. That was probably one of the top questions that election officials and also poll workers heard this time around when we supported a candidate for the city council elections. Another thing, too, is people are just tired of runaway school boards. They want to know the ideology of a school board member. They want to know how that person is, their principles, their philosophy, especially when it comes to spending or other agenda items that the school board can have. And again, really, we saw the state act on it, and we acted as soon as the law got enacted. We filed that letter of intent calling for a primary, and we would hope that one day we see that for the traditional city council races as well.
Matt Shears, 3 reasons why it's a bad idea.
Well, for one thing, there's always been an attitude of bipartisan working together on the school board. You've had folks that identify as Democrat or identify as Republican who've been able to work together. In fact, we've even had chairs of the school board around here who identify as members of the Democratic Party. But also, in addition to that, there's been also a culture of involvement on the school board for people who may not feel comfortable getting involved in partisan politics because it hasn't been based around partisanship. You have folks in the PTA, you've had folks that were retired teachers that get involved that wouldn't necessarily get involved in partisan politics. And I think that's a good thing because it brings people from outside of the traditional partisan realm into the policy decision-making process. And then lastly, I would say, just from a purely pragmatic standpoint, it's going to make running for school board more expensive. And I think that's a bad thing because it alienates certain people that may be able to serve on school board very well, but aren't able to raise the amount of money that's going to be needed to run for school board now. And I just think that's going to be those are going to be negatives to hazard bill that was passed in the last couple weeks.
We'll dig into those specifics with our panel in a moment, but Daniel Herrera, name one subject matter in Knox County where you think that having a D or R or that philosophy would make a difference on school board. The superintendent, let's throw out the superintendent search. How would political party help or hurt in that way?
Whether or not it actually assists in those kind of decision makings, I'm not necessarily sure. But where I think it's going to actually assist is knowing the philosophy of the candidate, their spending habits, what they believe the role of the school board is. We saw that in the city council election as well. Just because the city has the control of the budget or infrastructure doesn't mean that's all the candidates do, or what they do when they get elected. So I think having an R or a D next to your name kind of shows the direction they want to take that school board. And I think having an R next to you, or having a Republican on the school board, will show that they are more entrenched in trying to do what the school board was intended to do, and that's just facilitate Knox County schools and to make sure that it operates within its means and that students and parents both have a say in their education.
Billy Stair, your question.
Matt, the number of people who voted in the last city council election was almost double what it was 4 years ago. That's a remarkable increase. Based on the results, do you think the Republican effort to have partisan elections increased the Democratic turnout as much as Republicans?
I categorically believe that, yeah. In fact, we had a number of people who came to the polls that actually said, I don't know who the Democrats running are, but I got these 10 mailers telling me who the Republicans are, and I'm a Republican, but I just don't like this kind of campaigning, so I know who I'm voting against. And one of our poll workers said, well, thank you for your support. And they said, well, I don't know if I'm supporting you. I'm just voting against these people. And so, yeah, I think it, in many ways, I think it totally backfired. And I think that the Knoxville taxpayers, the Knoxville voters, said they don't want that in their city council races.
Daniel Herrera, did it backfire?
No, it did not at all. I mean, look, here's the truth. Did we win the city council elections? No. But to say that we haven't gained anything, I think, is complete false. We went from sweeping 13 precincts this time around, when in 2017 we didn't sweep any. Also, we tied, I believe, give or take, tied in 7 or 8 precincts. What we showed is that there is an alternative to what's being offered. This is the first time in a very long time that the Republican Party has gotten involved in these traditional partisan elections, and really there's no such thing as a nonpartisan election. People want to know the candidate's political philosophy, and the Republican Party had a great year in 2021. The amount of voter data that we have gained, the amount of resources we gained, volunteers, our donations, we're $1,000 short from having raised $100,000 this year. I mean, that's huge. So what we did is we pushed the needle in the city, and look, I gave my membership my word and our executive committee's word that we're going to continue to get involved in these races.
We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Susan, we're back with you at the top of the next part of our conversation. Stay with us with the chairs of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party in Knox County.